Today's video is 5 more of the tiniest fish and the minimum tank size that you can keep these in. Yep, this is a series and you asked for it. Welcome to the small scape. Who doesn't love, in the world of nano tanks, tiny fish and tiny tanks? That was what suckered me into the hobby along with aquascaping. Some of these fish are kind of surprising. They are very small, but they need to be kept in slightly larger tanks. So I'm going to do this maybe in a little bit more organized manner and go through for each of these fish the maximum size of the fish, and then can they be kept single or in groups, and of course the tank size that I'll recommend, and I'm going to even throw in a fun fact. So let's get started with one of my favorite, the Ember Tetra. Beautiful orange color. It highlights and it contrasts very nicely with a lot of green in your tank. So if you have a planted tank, they're really gonna show up very, very well. They max out at less than an inch and they should be kept in groups. Yeah, 5 to 6 of them. They'll be happy little campers. They kind of like to hang out together, and you see this little mass of orange flying through your tank. Minimum tank size for them, generally speaking, would be a 10-gallon, but if you have experience and you're willing to try it out, I would say anywhere from the 8 gallons. I currently have a small group of 5 in a 7.5 gallon that I just did for the Waza booth at Aquashella, and then I did have a group back here, but I'm going to be making way for something fun. This is an 8.3 gallon tank, and I had a small group of 5, and I think it worked out just great. The fun fact about the Ember Tetra is I really don't think you can beat the color. The size of the fish, very, very small, less than an inch, and that orange color is very, very bright and kind of a very solid color of orange. So that's your fun fact. I don't think you can beat the color. Between the Ember Tetra and the Chili Rasbora, can't beat them. Now the next fish is a very, very popular fish, especially these days. And I will have to note that a lot of these fish can be found, even if you want to look at more details or just pull up pictures, definitely check out our channel sponsor, Flip Aquatics. Great people to deal with, and they have such a selection of nano everything. Nano fish, nano tanks, plants, you name it. Go check them out. And this is the first place, actually, when I was just putzing around on their website, that's the first place that I saw them at. These green Kuba Ties. Their color is a light green, beautiful light green. I think they would go, personally, I think they would look great with the green neon, because you have the light green color of the green Kuba Tie and then that medium green slash blue slash purple of the green neon. Most wonderful fish in the world. But I think those colors would go really, really nicely together, personally speaking. Definitely want to keep them in a group. 5 to 6 should do very nicely. And they really do kind of cover a good deal of the tank. They're going from all the way around. They're doing some major exercise throughout the day. So definitely a high energy. Keep that in mind, especially if you want to keep more than that 5 to 6. And then minimum tank size, I would say 8 to 10. An 8 to 10 gallon tank, and I'm throwing in the 8 gallon tank because, well, the 8.3s are right behind me, so there are a lot of choices these days. If you do want to branch out from the standard 10 gallon tank, you can kind of budget and go down to the 8 gallon size, and they're just a really fun, beautiful, beautiful fish. And the fun fact for the green Kuba Tie, I would just really say that light green color is extremely unique, and yeah, that's your fun fact. Now, the next fish is one of the first fish that I absolutely had to have because they are the cutest thing ever. If you've had them, you know. If you haven't had them, I'm thinking maybe you want them. It's the Pea Puffer. Completely unique to their own little category. They're just so much fun to watch. They have totally different behavior than other fish. Their swimming kind of style, they're just so cute. Absolutely adorable. They have fun little personalities, kind of like super tiny little water puppies. Just saying, super fun. If you have them, you're probably not going to be sorry. Generally, the size tank is going to be 5 gallons per pea puffer, so definitely don't go under the 5 gallon. And if you do a 5 gallon, I would do just one. I've had a pair. I've also done a trio. The thing you want to keep in mind is keep this tank, any tank that you put a pea puffer in or multiple in, definitely has to be heavily planted. You want to give them lots of places to hide out, to get some space, to get their alone time, because they can get a little ornery. They're a little ornery in that little tiny body. They do have what I would consider a low activity level because they just kind of hang out. They'll zoom around a little bit, but they just kind of poke around. They just mosey. They like mosey around. Really cute. And the fun fact for the pea puffer is a really fun name. I'm just saying. Their eyes move independently of each other. You probably knew that, but if you didn't, fun added bonus if you keep pea puffers, because their eyes they have like little googly eyes. Really fun. And remember, they're messy eaters. They do like live food. So snails, they will take care of any of your snails in your tank. So you probably don't want to keep them with any snails that you actually find to be your pets, because they will meet them and greet them and you know the rest. But they will make a little bit of a mess. So keep that in mind if you like a nice tidy tank, or if you're not real good at gravel vacuuming your tank very fastidiously. Just keep in mind they're a little messy. Number 4 on today's list is the Endler Guppy. It's known as an Endler Guppy or just an Endler. I think they're super cute. Very, very colorful. You can get them in all different sorts of colors, just like the Guppy. The approximate size of the Endler is 1 to 2 inches, but definitely maybe more towards the 1.5 inch for the females. The males can stay very, very small. I've had ones that are just touching that 1 inch size, but the females can be quite a bit larger, so keep that in mind as well. Want to keep them in a group, probably 5 to 6 in your smallest tank size, which we'll get to in a minute. But I also personally feel that you can keep a single one. I don't think it will be upset in the least. It won't be missing its compadres or its family. And in a nano tank, I personally like to put as my centerpiece fish a tiny fish. Usually in the bigger tanks, you get a very flashy, bigger, really cool centerpiece fish for your centerpiece fish. But I sometimes, just to switch it up a little bit, be a little weird, I put a super tiny fish as my centerpiece, as long as it's not small enough to fit in the mouths of your other fish, you know what I mean? So I think an Endler Guppy, I think I've had this in a tank, I had an Endler Guppy that was my centerpiece. But if you do want to keep the smallest tank possible, I would say a 5 gallon, you can put a single one in, or if you do want to keep multiples, don't keep one female with multiple males. Don't do it, because that poor female, did I say that? One female and multiple males, did I say that right? Okay, because that female will be bothered by the males all the time. So you want multiple females to one male. So maybe three male, that would be bad. 3 females to 1 male. But if you want that small group, say a group of 4, then 5 gallons your smallest. If you want a larger group than that, definitely bump it up to maybe like a 10 gallon. Fun fact, well, I already said it was a fun fact. It was one of my fun facts, is that I think it would make a single one would make a great centerpiece fish in a small tank. But the second fun fact is, last summer for the pond, I have like a 50 gallon pond, and I put in guppies and endlers, and at the end of the season, the endlers way outnumbered the guppies, which was, I found, quite shocking. I don't know why, but it's kind of fun just to know that. Now for my last fish for today, number 5 tiny fish, would be the rice fish. I love the rice fish. They are absolutely beautiful, and they kind of glow. They're really fun. People love to use them in ponds, and it's really fun because you can look down on them and they really do tend to glow. You can spot them a lot. They do swim towards the top of the tank. Keep that in mind when you're setting up an aquascape. So you want to have a lot of stuff for them to swim around up there. Floating plants would be great. for these rice fish, but they get the size would be maybe 1 to 1.5 inches, which makes them a great nano fish. And then for groups, I would keep them in at least 6. This is definitely a fish that really likes to be kept with its family, its little posse. Tank size for them would be a 10-gallon if you're gonna have 6, but like I said, you can kind of go down to say a 8-gallon. Like we have here, the 8.3 gallon. They worked out really great here. And let's see, what can we do for a fun fact for these? They're from Japan. They're native to Japan, and I do believe they are kind of known as like the guppy. They're like the Japanese version of the guppy, where there's just so many. They're just very prolific and just everywhere. And they come in, if you've seen them before, we have platinum rice fish, and that is usually the color that we see. They come in a whole lot of colors. I would at some point like to have a collection of them. I've seen them in so many different colors: black, orange, even some red, blue. You see them in blue, whew, watch out. But really, really a fun little fish. I love them. And if you want some interest, if you have a pond style aquascape, that would be really fun, because you can see them hanging around on the top and really kind of appreciate their beautiful color and all their activity. So there you go. There's 5 more tiny fish and the size tanks that you can possibly keep them in to keep them happy, keep you happy, keep everybody happy, and appreciate that nano world that we all love to live in. So I appreciate you watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you still want to talk about some more fish, pick a video. See you next time.